Over a decade after the live-action disaster, the DC animated universe is still proving that a good Green Lantern movie can be made. Recently discharged Marine John Stewart takes the helm as a Green Lantern and is forced into a galactic war where many other Green Lanterns before him have failed, joined by Justice League member the Green Arrow, Thanagarian warrior Shiera, and the mysterious Adam Strange. The DC animated universe is a universe that feels more consistent than what DC has delivered in live action. However, I find myself being a fan of a bunch of them, but in terms of consistency, they seem to bring out a good movie, but then there's always other two or even three that are either mediocre or just plain out bad. Or at least for the past decade, that's what their streak was. That's where their track record landed on. However, ever since After Apocalypse War, they've changed their animation style and their approach to stories, bringing in new, fresh directors to bring these stories to life, and they seem to be picking up a certain pace that delivers solid, consistent quality. Despite the piss-poor adaptation of Injustice into a single film, we've had Catwoman Hunted, which was a nice surprise. We've had the two-parter Batman The Long Halloween, and even the surprisingly effective Justice Society World War II. And now we finally bring John Stewart to life, leading his own film after we've not seen him for years in television as a lead since the Justice League cartoon in the early 2000s. And I'm very happy to see him as the lead in this film, in a story that, despite going out into space and celebrating all the sci-fi weirdness that comes with a Green Lantern story, it feels very intimate, it feels very personal, particularly because it's so character-centric with John Stewart at the helm. Also, with these DC animated films, I never thought I was going to enjoy this Archer-style design to their films ever since they changed it, but I've been a bigger and bigger fan ever since they continued to do it, and once more in this film, it works. The animation is beautiful, it is fluid, it's not very cinematic, but they understand that. They know what they're delivering to their audience. This is a direct-to-video release, and it looks fantastic. When the action is on screen, it feels like comic book panels come to life. And it's weird because even now, knowing I enjoy this animation style in these films, I still look at stills and trailers before the films come out, and I'm still hesitant whenever I see these stories being brought to life through this animation and design style, and I'm still not a big fan. But then you just get engrossed in the story, in the characters, and in the booming score that, again, once we dive into the action sequences in this film, are just fabulous. And I think a Green Lantern story naturally lends itself very well to the realm of animation. Colors are a natural visual motif for a story like that. And then you are traveling through space with all these cosmic weird elements. You got the Zeta Bims, you got a galactic war going on between the Rannians and the Thanagarians. It's just a blast to witness. And also, it's a film that stretches its runtime just a little bit, as overall, these movies tend to be just under an hour and 20. Green Lantern Beware My Power allows itself a little bit more time to breathe at being a full 90 minutes long. It still runs into some problems given this short runtime, but it stands out much better in terms of pacing compared to its predecessors in this animated universe. Before I continue with my thoughts on the film, it's up to you to start a conversation in the comments below and discuss your thoughts on this film. And also, if you're enjoying this video, if you love movies and TV, this is the place to be. So consider clicking that subscribe button so you don't miss any future conversations in your favorite movies and TV. A lot of what helps you get invested in the story is the characters and the sensational voice work delivered by Aldous Hodge as John Stewart, who is suffering from PTSD, who doesn't feel ready to carry on this responsibility of being a Green Lantern, despite understanding what it is. This guy lives in a world where the Justice League exists, where he's heard of Hal Jordan. And Aldis brings his A game as John Stewart. Jimmy Simpson as Oliver Queen is someone I really like as an actor, but could never buy conceptually playing the Green Arrow, and yet he does a great job having this fun friction with John Stewart at first as the best friend of the Green Lantern, Hal Jordan. I just wish there were more opportunities for comedy, given that Oliver Queen is such an earthbound hero, and now he's out in space meeting Adam Strange and Shayera Hall and finds himself amidst this mysterious war, which, by the way, the film works kind of as an intergalactic murder mystery or genocidal mystery as you're trying to find out what is going on. It's very entertaining. It's very fun the way they structured this film instead of a straightforward action narrative where characters will find themselves amidst a war. The war is basically over. The war is happening on the sides. It's them trying to investigate what caused this intergalactic conflict, that caused the Green Lanterns to die, that caused the Thanagarians to be against the Ranians, and vice versa. And so you have interesting perspectives presented by these characters and their reaction to war and conflict and death around them and what they can do to stop it. I just wish we could see more of Oliver being in way over his head, because this is a guy who uses bow and arrows. He's out in space with all these superpowered beings that travel in space and travel in time and have superpower. There were opportunities for more throughout this film. And that brings us into my issues with this film, in where it's too ambitious for its own good, for its runtime, which much better that it got 90 minutes instead of the standard 80 or even 75 sometimes, but it's just too busy for a 90-minute runtime where it brushes through so many things. After a rocky start where the Justice League just see the civilian in the Watchtower and just attack him very suddenly, and then you have moments where John Stewart, despite understanding these concepts, goes out in space and is barely astonished. We don't get this sense of awe from him. And while the story structure is unique, where again it's not just a straightforward sci-fi action adventure into space, it's an intergalactic murder mystery with a lot more suspense than I anticipated, and Jeff Wildmaster is clearly a fan of this material, diving fully into the sci-fi-ness of it all, bringing a lot of Easter eggs onto the screen, be it through exchanges, be it through characters presented, sometimes not even named, but if you're a die-hard fan of the material, you can see your favorites brought to life, albeit very quickly. It's just adapting two big stories into a 90-minute runtime. It feels like it's crunching and rapidly moving through all these beats. One of them is the Ranian Thanagarian War, and another one that I really love, I can't name it here because it's a massive spoiler. It's a turn that the film takes far into the second act, going on into the third, and that's usually when the film works the best, because everything is laid out. Now the film can just move, now the film can just happen and tell its story. So while it begins in a rocky way and moves in an intriguing manner in the second act, it's really in the third act that it excels, but sadly it's a bit too late by then to overcome its flaws and live up to its ultimate potential, where it has this ambition to tell this story in a unique way with interesting characters presenting an interesting perspective, but it just doesn't pay it all off too well. It doesn't slow down enough, just goes for it, and while on a character level that works, it really feels like the story should have lingered and it should have been more complicated for these characters to accomplish what they set out to accomplish. Green Lantern Beware My Power soars with its animation, dynamic action, and character work, where John Stewart's origin story is given due justice. But the film's enormous story ambition sadly cut its potential slightly short. I'm giving Green Lantern Beware My Power a B-. Those are my thoughts on Green Lantern Beware My Power, so now it's up to you to continue the conversation in the comments below. Not the best Green Lantern film, but also by far not the worst. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for many more videos to come very soon, and thank you to my channel members for always supporting the channel. So until the next one, love each other and love the movies.